Hello, thank you for joining me for our second card in the meant to be month, bundle, tutorial, whatever we want to call it. This is the card that we're making today. I'm just calling it Patchwork. It looks complicated, but it actually is quite easy. Now, of course, we're using the meant to be bundle. But if you're wondering about that sentiment, no, it isn't in that bundle. So this is actually a sneak peek of a stamp set. It's a bundle, but we're only using the stamp set here. That's coming in the new annual catalogue called Notes and Totes. So really nice sentiments in here. And that's what I'm using along with this. I love the bees, but I just don't seem to find the sentiments that come in that stamp set that useful. I'm not going to go through the DSP and everything again. I showed you that in the first card, so you've already seen that. We don't need to go through all that again. Let's start with our stamping. This time, instead of stamping the bee's body in yellow and then stamping the stripes over, I'm just going to stamp the body directly onto Daffodil Delight cardstock. And this time I'm using the smaller bee. So, sorry, I was just thinking, if I sounded distracted, I was thinking I didn't bring the dies with. Okay, so I'm using that little bee's body this time instead of the big bee. And then I'm going to stamp the wings. And again, we're using the smaller wing. And my petunia pop is quite juicy, so I am going to stamp off. If you want really dark wings, then go for it, but I'm going with them stamped off. And we're then going to die cut our wings and body. The bee then has a face stamped. I prefer to stamp the face after I've done the die cutting. I think I can position it better when I can see where the head is. If you're comfortable, stamp it now, but you're going to die cut those. Okay, and then while I'm stamping, for my insert, I'm just going to take this bee trail. That sounds like a bad word. It's not a betrayal. It is the trail left by the bees. And I'm going to stamp it along the bottom of my insert over here. We will come back to that insert shortly. And then I have already stamped the sentiment, just because I hate stamping sentiments on camera. I can never get them right. But then I'm going to take this little heart, which is in the meant to be stamp set, and I'm going to stamp it in the corner, and then without re-inking, stamp another one and stamp a third one. So you can see that third one is quite light, but you can still see it. And then we're going to do the same on the other edge. Okay, now pretty sure that that's all our stamping done. So not a lot of stamping in this one. Our main focus, of course, is the DSP and the card. Alright, so I have put up the tutorial. You've got all the measurements in there. So what we're going to do is start off with our bigger piece of DSP. And when you're making this card, it is best if you use non-directional DSP. It gets a bit complicated if it's directional, and then you've got to try and fit it so that things are facing the right way up. And so just go with non-directional. It's going to make your life easier. So we're cutting our biggest square diagonally from corner to corner. It doesn't matter which corner. And then we're going to take that and stick it onto, sorry, okay, that was an optical illusion because I was looking at it and thinking, is this actually going to stick? It looks like it's too small, but it isn't. It is the right size. And once again, I'm having a glue issue. Let me see if this one will work. Yep, there we go. Alright, so we're going to stick our 2 pieces of DSP, and the long edge, so that's where your diagonal cut was, is going along the edge of your bubble bath square. And the other one is going on the opposite side. Now don't get too hung up if they're not meeting exactly in the middle. In an ideal world they will, but here it doesn't matter if those points are slightly off because they are going to be covered anyway. And then we're taking our 2 smaller pieces of DSP and we're going to stick them on opposite corners of our petunia pop square. And again, it doesn't matter which corners you stick them onto. All that I'm worried about is that the edges are lined up. There we go. And then we're taking the petunia pop square and we're going to stick it onto our bubble bath square. If you're really fanatical, you can measure and make sure that you're getting it exactly in the middle, but you'll probably find that if all your corners are touching the edges, then you've probably got it lined up pretty well. That looks alright to me. And then we're going to stick this onto that basic white mat. And the whole thing's going to go onto my petunia pop card base. Now, it's up to you which way you want it. You can have it that way. Oh, okay, I'm just looking at this and I'm going, oh, I stuck this the other way around. But that's okay. So it's up to you whether you want those pieces on the sides or whether you want them top and bottom. I stuck that the other way around, but okay, I'm going to go with them on the sides. Didn't even think about that one, but okay, that just shows us variation. It doesn't matter whether our little DSP squares are on the sides or on the top. And then we're going to take our sentiment strip and stick that along the bottom. Looks like I've cut that slightly too big as well. Alright. Just gonna trim the edge here. Now, I've assembled my bee so exactly the same as I did in the last one. stick the antennae on first and then the wings behind it. So I'm going to take one of my little bees and we're going to stick that onto the bottom of the insert following the bee trail. Oops, I don't want it to slide. And then that can go inside our card. Our second little bee is going to stick on with dimensionals. And of course we need some bling, and once again I'm using some of these tiny bee trinkets. I just love these little bee trinkets and I think they work pretty well with the bees. I guess the only question now is, because I stuck it the other way around, where are we going to put these? But oops, I'm going to put one over there. It can be flying in that direction, that's okay. And I'm going to put the other one at the bottom over here. Alright, so my fingers are sticky, which doesn't help when I'm sticking tiny, tiny little things. I maybe want them both flying in the same direction, so we'll just turn that one a bit. So there you go, as easy as that. Our Patchwork Bee card in 2 different orientations. I hope that you enjoy this card. If you make it, please post it, let me see what it looks like. And I will be back next week. Our next card is going to be a fun fold card, and that's going to be very DSP focused. So have a good weekend, happy Easter, and I will see you next week. Until then, bye for now.